Namaste and a very warm welcome to yet another episode on Karishma Connect. This time around, I've got D. Chattanathan, co-founder of Arya.ag, an agri-commerce platform that enables rural farmers in India to make the best out of their harvest using a wide range of solutions, including storage, commerce, financial, through technology. Making it accessible for them is Arya.ag, and Nathan Sir tells me more about the platform itself, how they launched it, what went behind it, his years of banking experience coming to use, his passion for writing, his book, which is called The Heal, how he chooses to compartmentalize his life to ensure that he's happier than ever, and why it's important to take risks when you need to. Go check out the episode. Until the next one, I'll see you soon. This is Karishma Connect. Much love. Thank you so much, Nathan sir, for joining me on Karishma Connect today. I am excited to know about Arya, mainly because I found it really interesting when the email came to me. I found the story extremely different, and I wanted to know more about it. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to this one.
My pleasure, Karishma. To the best of my knowledge and ability, I'll just try to answer your questions.
Absolutely. Nathan sir, tell me about your journey. How did you begin? What are you into? What has been your passion and how are you where you are today? What's special about it?
I'll just break this into three parts. You're asking me to cover 5 decades in a few minutes.
Yes.
So I'll just try to make it as crisp as possible. The first part, I'll talk about education. Then I'll talk about brief in terms of my career journey, and then into Arya, right? So that's the way I will just put it up. So I actually was born and brought up in a small place called Guntakal in Andhra Pradesh. I studied in a government railway school and government college as far as plus two is concerned. That was SKB Government College. Then I decided that I actually should not study. But my father insisted and said that I should study because he felt that education is the only asset that he could give. And that's the wealth creator that hence he actually picked up an application for agriculture college, and he ensured that I apply for agriculture college. I was the last person to enter the college. So I graduated in agriculture from SV Agriculture College, Tirupati. But while coming out of the college, I was one among the toppers. And I was a sponsored student of Coromandel Fertilizers. They had a Gromar Fellowship, which they give for the brightest student in the college. They conduct an interview and give the fellowship. And I also secured Indian Council of Agricultural Research Junior Fellowship for pursuing my post-graduation. But incidentally, at that time, actually, there was a campus interview which was conducted by Zuari Agrochemicals Limited, and I was the only person who got placed. So actually, I went and joined Zuari. So that's how the career started. But I had the passion to write. So I actually did my postgraduate diploma in public relations and journalism from School of Communication and Management Studies in Kochi, and I was a topper there. And then after that, from Zuari, I moved to Asian Paints. From Asian Paints, I worked as a tutor for a few years. And I actually did as a freelance journalist for some time, and then joined Allahabad Bank and then to ICICI Bank. Majority of my time I have spent in ICICI Bank. It's more than 2 decades. I have done jobs across many verticals, but predominantly in the rural space. So while I left ICICI Bank before becoming a promoter, I was as the group product head for ICICI Bank in the rural and agri space. That's where my career ended with respect to a professional career. Then I moved into Arya. So all the four of us, actually the three promoters and one investor also with us, who was a friend of us. So all the four of us, one day we were debating in Starbucks that we should do something different. And that actually got the seed germinated in terms of Arya. So when we were looking into this space, there was an interesting opportunity which emerged, and we acquired a majority stake with Arya Collateral, which was a JM Bakshi Group company. So from there, the journey started. Anand and Prasanna, my co-promoters, actually started initially, and I joined them a little bit later because I had to continue for some more years with ICICI Bank. That's broadly.
I think then it's time to ask you this question, because I've seen a lot of chatter of late about switching job roles, changing the field, going through multiple different industries. I think it is valid to ask you that question, that What was your experience? How did you switch at different stages of your life between these dynamically different industries altogether?
I think it's more to do with the ability to adapt yourself, because some people are very fortunate to get into their own track or passion right throughout and managing their family life also. I was not one among them. So what I did was that wherever I went, I gave the best and I started liking what I do rather than getting into a job which I'd like. So that's how I would define. And I think whenever you have the skills of adaptation, you will excel. And it is much more required in the current context than any other context earlier.
Now, tell me about Arya. How does the platform work? And also, what makes you believe that in today's times, especially, Arya holds relevance?
See, let me break again this into two pieces. One, let me give some macro indicators and then get to why area is relevant because it'll put the context rightly. See, the biggest problem which Indian agriculture is facing today is actually 84% of the farmers are small and marginal farmers holding less than 5 acres of land. And fragmentation of land is continuing further. So I believe that probably at some point of time it may reach to 90%, which is significantly large. That's point number one. Point number two is that population is increasing. We are already at about 140 crores. And my belief says that based on various studies which I have been looking into, we may stabilize somewhere between 160 to 165 crores of population. That means we are talking about another 25 crores of mouths to be fed. And where from this will come? This has to come from the same set of farmers who are actually at this point of time small and marginal farmers. Unless and until we improve their lives, right, their sustaining into farming is going to be difficult. So we need to address the concerns which are there with respect to small and marginal farmers. There are two ways in which we can address these concerns. One concern is to say that how do I improve productivity and thereby the production of individual farmers getting more income? The other is to say that how within the production which has already happened, how do I give a right price to the farmer? So government has been making various interventions in terms of minimum support price, etc. But beyond that, what is the intervention as private sector we can bring in? So today, the small and marginal farmers faces two issues. One issue is that he is not in a position to sell at a right time because agriculture is unique. The production is actually at a particular point of time, but the consumption is evened out throughout the year, right? So the prices of agriculture commodities at the time of harvest are generally low. So if you don't have capacity to hold the goods for a longer horizon of time, the ability for you to fetch that incremental price will not be there with you. So that's one set which we said that we will be in a position to address. But if you have to address that, then you need to see that how do you actually bring storage more near to the farm gate? Because unless and until you store, you cannot hold the commodity for a longer period of time. So you need to store it more scientifically so that the valuation of the commodity doesn't happen. Second is that at the time of storage, because he is small and marginal, he requires liquidity immediately because he wants money. So storing and then adding and then giving value to him to say that I am creating liquidity to you is much more critical. So we blended these two and said that, okay, if you are there anywhere near to the villages, we will come near to you. So most of our operations are now in the primary and secondary markets, more near to the farm gate. 80-90% of our business happens there. So a farmer, a processor, a small trader who is there in this markets can technically store the produce for a longer period of time and fetch values by actually selling it at the appropriate time when the price increase happens. Now, the third point which is there is that whom to sell, right? Because generally what happens is because these are all marginal guys, people generally freeze them out, right? So the need for money is there and you actually dispose of the commodities faster. So can we increase actually transparency in the markets by enabling many players to come into the play so that we fetch the better price when the commodity is being sold? So that's how the market has got created, right? So now anybody who's there in the primary and secondary markets, could be a farmer, could be a farmer producer organization, could be a trader, could be a processor, has the innate ability to store the produce more near to the farm gate and then fetch values whenever he wants to sell. So that's the beauty which we have created. And I think, as I said to you, that this will continue for at least another 10-15 years, hopefully. And we have also now started looking into pre-harvest, because climate is one of the factors which is actually impacting agriculture across, and sustainable agriculture is another point which is being talked about. So we acquired a company which is called Prakshape, which is into digital imaging and the satellite images. Now we can actually predict the biotic and abiotic stress at the farm level. So we can guide them what to apply, when to apply, instead of actually blindly going and applying fertilizer and pesticides and making a climate damage. It's now appropriate for them to actually rightly at right time give right quantities of these pesticides and fertilizers.
I know that you have recently written a book as well, so tell me about that.
You're talking about the specific book of the heel, or the journey per se?
Heal. The journey per se as well. Of course, start with the journey and then let me know about the
See,
heal.
I started writing, as I told you, at a very early age, because when I would have been in 11th standard, probably I would have written the first fiction, Life and a Knife. Of course, it was a 40-page book, not for publication, but just as a passion. At that time, I would have probably written a few poems and sent it across to Illustrated Weekly. At that point of time, Pritish Nandi was the editor of Illustrated Weekly, had referred me to Nizam Ezekiel and Kamala Das. I'm talking about a few decades before, right? But somewhere the profession overrode the passion, and I got passionately into the profession, right? For the last 30 years, I have excelled in what I did wherever I was. And the last 4 years, I have started writing. So I have written about 5 books now, 1 non-fiction, 1 poem, and 3 fictions. The latest is The Heel. It is actually a investigative crime fiction which is there.
So much of like I said in the beginning, there's so many diverse occupations that you're part of. How does one tie into the other? You know, whether it's writing, whether it's banking, whether it's agriculture, how does it all tie back?
The important point which is there for any human being is to compartmentalize things, right? For example, if I would say that God has to pick up the most happiest persons on earth, I would say he would probably pick me as one, right? Because I could compartmentalize. Compartmentalize in life is that, for example, you compartmentalize 3 pockets, right? One pocket is family. The second pocket is what your profession is. The third pocket is what you can do to the society, right? So if you're clear about these 3 pockets, and family, when you define that family, what is the circular radius of circle which you want to define as far as the family is concerned? Because families like us were extended large families. I can't satisfy everybody. So I'll have to be clear that I would be restricting myself only to this radius. As long as you're clear about it, the thoughts are clear. So your time and intervention in that is very clear. When it comes to the second compartment, you are clear that it's a professional compartment. Your brand is there. You will not compromise in negotiating. So you will keep negotiating to win, make profits, whatever it is there. The last part is what is the social objective, right? So where what you want to do. So here I have taken 2 threads. One is education, the other is health, because I thought poverty has to be taken by the government, right? Balance 2 can be taken by the others like us. So these 2 activities I have started doing as far as the social objectives concerned. Somewhere the seed investments which I have been making for various startups falls between 2 and 3, because initially it starts with a third leg, because at that point of time the startup doesn't make money. So you'll have to be mentally clear that I'm investing in without any returns, but over a period of time it will return. So it will move from the third pocket to the second pocket. If you can compartmentalize, I think you will be in a position to make things much more easier to you.
Such a
The problem is people blend everything together. That's the problem.
My last question to you, sir, is that for entrepreneurs today, for startups looking to begin their journey today, why do you think, because you are so adept and so connected to the rural scene, why do you think it's important to look at or to prioritize the rural sector and make a difference there? What kind of long-term impact do you think that holds?
See, I would say it's more a need and necessity than anything else for people to step in, because as per the World Bank studies, it is estimated that we require at least another 40% more production than what we are currently doing if we have to sustain the health standards across the globe, right? As much as I was talking about the country, it's the same affair across the globe. Yeah. So and land is going to be the same. It's not going to increase. So the only way you can sustain and increase food production is either increasing the productivity for each of the crops by doing a lot of research and producing hybrid seeds, etc., Or the second intervention is to say, I adopt right agronomic practices and then ensure that the production increases. The last factor which will also impact in this challenge is the climate, right? Which we are talking about, because pesticides and fertilizers get get used in agriculture, right? And which actually damages the climate. So if you don't actually do all these fertilizers, pesticides usage, how are you going to sustain the agriculture and production together, right? Hence, I feel that the technologies which are coming in terms of precision agriculture, satellite imaging, etc., will all add together, make this a sustainable, profitable agriculture. Hence, the need is more than anything else. Unlike other sectors, for example, today, if you have an iPhone, Android phone, as far as the utility is concerned, it doesn't make any difference. But here, anything which you do, even incrementally, 1 kg additional production, it's going to sustain masses. So I wish and believe that a lot of people should come into this sector, enforce many technologies into this, and see that good quality produce is produced to sustain the globe.
And I'd like to add there, because you've been in connection to that sector, what do you think is that one thing that people need to keep in mind when it comes to approaching that sector, the sensitivities of that sector, and resonating and connecting?
So each crop is different, second. And culturally, as a country, we are not uniform. So the challenges in each of the geographies would be different. It's not like that you have done one technology for one value chain, it can be adopted across. So the challenge would be much larger here compared to the other places, because it can't be an en masse development. It has to be customized to the crop, to the specific geography, and to the specific culture.